party of like 3 members and equip them and send them off on these missions. And a bunch of different missions, weekly quests, daily quests, etc., that you could go on.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself that I remember this being like the place where I kind of pieced out, though. That's enough news for now.
No more news. I'm newsed out.
News out. Let's not do news for a while.
Yep, no news. No news is good news.
Yeah, okay, great. Anyway, I have some personal news. I have games that you didn't think we'd play, well, technically play again. I got on a kick where I was trying to play some of the old games that I haven't touched in a long time and just
That we didn't think
them.
you would have played the first time?
Probably not. Probably not. Recently, some of those entries included the likes of the Dead Space series and Dante's Inferno, doing a real visceral run there with all of that good stuff. Like some of the Fable games and such. But one thing that just kind of caught my attention for a second was Fallout Shelter. We both played Fallout Shelter when it originally came out. Fallout Shelter was released on, my birthday, June 14th, 2015.
I was going to guess 2016, damn.
Yeah, it was released, well, remember, they released it the day of the E3 press conference because they also announced Fallout 4, which was going to come out by the end of 2015.
Right, they wanted to tie in.
They wanted to
get
tie
people
it.
Hyped.
Yeah, so that was the big hype, is that, like, we figured we'd find out about Fallout 4. They talked about Fallout Shelter. It was free to play. You could download it that day. And then also announced that, Fallout 4 is coming, like, in 4 months or something like that. Congratulations, everybody.
Good luck. Tied yourself over with this free-to-play game.
Yeah, in the meantime, you do that. And for people that aren't aware, Fallout Shelter was basically a game where you ran one of Fallout vaults, and you could number it, and you could run it, and try to entice wastelanders into your vault and send them out on missions to get scrap and get better gear and everything like that. I didn't have my original save game. I played it this time on PC instead of on mobile, because they have a PC version, and on the consoles as well. And what I realized, well, first of all, play it on PC, don't play it on the console, because the controller setup is not built for it, really.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be.
No, it's very hard. They want you to go into the individual rooms and then select stuff instead of just being able to drag and pull. It's annoying. But anyway, the initial thing that I noticed, the basic mechanics of the game, where you're just managing your power requirements, I should say, and your food and your water, and you're, trying to assign people to stuff. It works fairly well, right? And then you can equip people, and you can send them off into the wastelands and all of that, and they level up. And so the basic mechanics of the game work perfectly fine, but it has a big problem once it starts to get into timers. And so it needs to have these times where it's like, it's going to be 6 hours and you'll be able to get your new weapon or whatever. There is something, on PC especially, there is a way to get around all of this, which is just, if you find yourself, like, with nothing to do, just change the date on your computer and move it ahead a day, and everything's done. And you take everything, and your wastelanders have been out collecting stuff for an entire day at that point. And
Perfect.
So
that's how you got around things on the GameCube, too.
Yes, exactly. So yesterday, I spent a good while where I was able to just go through a ton of days just by, adding in, one day every time I got to a point where I could. And you can also get all of your week's rewards in like in like an hour, practically.
You're just sitting there with the date and time settings open,
it's
and you
open.
just click it, apply, click it, apply.
Yep, click it, apply, click it, apply. It's a easiest way. You don't have to worry about, waiting for your people to get to point A to point B at all. There's a few things that it does that start to get a little bit annoying, which you probably already know about. But the random attacks from raiders are fine enough, but it's mostly a problem when they just start throwing in, like, there's a place in your base that just has a bunch of mole rats that showed up, and or there's a random fire that started. That's not so much a problem. It still keeps its basic gameplay loops of being able to collect your resources, use those resources so you can upgrade more, better equip, and then train eventually your citizens so that they're at the best ability to do what they need to do, and then keep on sending them out into the wasteland to get more stuff. Now, what Fallout Shelter did later, because they realized that they didn't have much of like a late game for this, was they started to do this mission-based thing, where you could take your overseer's office and you could assign a bunch of quests for your guys to go on, and you could take a party of like 3 members and equip them and send them off on these missions, and a bunch of different missions, weekly quests, daily quests, etc., that you could go on. And I was thinking to myself that I remember this being like the place where I kind of pieced out, though. And I think this is really the interesting, from a mechanical perspective, the most interesting part of this. Because if they didn't include stuff like that, you'd start to realize that there wasn't much more than the basic gameplay loop of going out and just continually expanding your base down and down and down.
Right.
But the way they implemented it also felt like I've taken this game that was supposed to be sort of like a mindless time waster that I didn't have to think about too much. They turned that, with the quest-based part, into something that I actively have to sit down and do for a more substantial amount of time.
Right. You turned it from an idle game to an active game.
Right, and I think this is kind of where they end up dropping off on this, because the way they set this up is, okay, you assign your folks with their stuff, and you have them go off into the wasteland, and a timer starts where they need to get to their location. When they get to the location, there's this building, and it's set up in rooms similar to the base that you're at, similar to your vault.
Mm-hmm.
But the gameplay at that part is basically click on the next room. If there's a fight, they'll fight the enemies automatically. If they might get a critical, and you can try to hit it for a little mini game to see if they get extra damage.
Right.
And then after the enemies are dead, you click on the glowing spots so that you can get all the stuff that's in the boxes. And that's really the extent of the gameplay at this point. Yeah. But the layouts of this are so big that you're just continually clicking on the next room and the next room and the next room and the next room up all these elevators, all these levels, where you have to just spend so much time doing nothing but just clicking on the next one and waiting for your folks to be done. Occasionally you'll have dialogue options.
Right.
Occasionally you'll have some dialogue options, that's it. So this interesting thing where they took a passive game and made it an active game. Kind of where the problems all start. It's kind of where it's this weird mixture of trying to take something that's supposed to be a very casual game and trying to add in more role-playing elements that people that are familiar with the series might want, but ultimately not being able to implement them very well because of the constraints of what you've already put in place.
It almost feels like it could have just been a separate game.
Yeah, if you wanted to do that, I would have suggested, like they used to have the old school Fallout, like the CRPGs, 1, 2, tactics, etc. Why not try to build if you wanted to do something like that, you could have built a game around the idea of doing like almost a Fallout Tactics, but as a mobile game or something like that, or since it's Fallout, and especially because of the turn-based RPG that it used to be, do something similar to Fire Emblem, where you get to like have like a grid-based combat system, and you get to strategize how you're going to use your settlers,
just a straight-up tactics game at that point.
Yeah, just a straight-up tactics game, because there's more meat on the bones. Like, you've now determined that you're not doing a passive game at that point, where it's just waiting for timers, an idle game, essentially. we're doing something very active where I have to sit down for a period of time and actively concentrate on the screen, even though there's very little for me to do. It's very monotonous. Yeah. If you're going to do that, give people more to actually do. But I get the feeling that Shelter has not really been updated or modified in forever. There are time-sensitive ones where they were about, like, Easter or spring or something specifically.
That's just holiday shit then, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was a fun one that I enjoyed, which was a quest line about, what was it, Bottle and Cappy, who had been stolen. And you needed to get Bottle and Cappy back, and once you finally do, they now come around occasionally to your vault to spread cheer and raise the morality of your
nice.
The fall.
I assume these are mascots.
Yeah, for Nuka-Cola, the Nuka-Cola mascots, and the Nuka-Cola theme park tune plays in the background when they come. And they dance around. Yeah, so I mean, it's got that. But one thing I was kind of surprised by, though, is I remember when I originally played, I don't know if you experienced this, but I remember getting, like, pretty well-known characters from the Fallout universe, like Preston Garvey and that.
That one DJ?
Yeah, Three Dog. Did you get Three Dog? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Three Dog. I remember getting Preston Garvey, and I think I got a few others, like legendary ones. I did not encounter any in the time that I was playing, and I thought that was more frequent, that like you'd get them in packs or something like that. I have not seen it. Occasionally I'll see that you'll get some more rare dwellers that have better stats, but they're not like from the games. So I don't know what happened if they did that more often at the beginning because, you know, they were trying to promote the new product or whatever.
Who knows? All I know is I had Three Dog.
You have Three Dog, yeah, I know. I like to see those characters just because it made it feel a little bit more in tune with the Fallout.
Should have just gotten Benny.
I have to look and see if Benny was even a character that you could get into your
That'd be great.
Thing. Who was the I can't remember her name now. The one that sent you out to do the Wasteland Survival Guide. She would have been great for
I don't remember.
Don't remember, yeah, from Fallout 3. She was great. That was one of the best quest lines too. Where she wanted you to like get as much radiation poisoning as you could to find out what the effects were.
Nice. Sounds good to me. Let's go.
Hey, you know, there's a bunch of landmines. Can you disable some of them? And
fun fact, the easiest way to disable a landmine is with your face.
It really is, and you will never have to worry about disabling another one afterward. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
Well, the landmine did.
Definitely.
Fallout Shelter, it's interesting going back to what was essentially a mobile game and playing it on PC and seeing if the experience is any different, because I don't think it didn't really gain anything in the transition over, because you're still essentially just using your mouse as your finger in the way that it's presented. But also, you just expect a lot more meat on the bones once it becomes a game that you're sitting down and actively playing. It's just an odd way to do a gameplay loop just because of the different states that you're accustomed to. How long did you actually play Fallout Shelter?
I have no idea. I only played it on mobile, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, that was me too. I only played it on mobile.
I don't know how long I played it for. It's definitely not something still installed on my phone.
A little under a year, maybe, for me? I think
probably. It probably stopped once 4 came out.
Yeah. I mean, obviously 4 was a big thing, but I was around at least until the quest lines came out and everything like that. But I got kind of tired of it after that became such a focal point for the game. Fallout Shelter, if you have any fond memories of Fallout Shelter, or if you don't, feel free to let us know. I guess the other thing I have a question on is if you have any mobile games that you actually remember fondly, because I know that that's a shorter list.
I don't typically play mobile games. The one I've probably ever played the most was Pokemon Go.
I remember Pokemon Go. I have not played that in so long.
Yeah, technically that is still on my phone. I have not opened it in well over a year.
I have it, but usually I only have to open that app up if the nieces are over, because they want to catch Pokemon.
There you go. That's fair.
And it's not like I don't have a billion Ultra Balls that they can waste as much.
It's okay. It keeps them off your PC.
It does keep them off my PC, and that's really the key. I don't want them to start playing Fallout Shelter. I'll never get rid of them. But anyway, what is your favorite mobile game, if you have one?
If you have a phone.
Do you have a phone?
I just hold the laptop up to my head every time I need to make a call.
That works great.
They're really light these days.
They are. So convenient, you could practically fit them in your pocket. And by your pocket, I mean slide them down the back of your pants. Alright, so let us know in the comments if you liked any mobile games and why.